and put a little tiny bit like that, and they put it right back in the box again, and you know, there's nothing to work with there. They try to do a sky and they put piles of water in. So I try to use as much colour as I can, you know. So there's my 7 colours, only 7 colours, because it gives you less decisions to make, and you can treat them rather like old friends, that you get to know exactly how to react with each other. It's no good if you have 5 blues and 4 reds, and because you don't know where you are. Now, the brushes themselves, these are a peculiar set of brushes, but they work, especially with beginners, because, as I said, one of the faults with beginners is to fiddle too much, to inclined to poke little things. Now this stops you from fiddling. It's an enormous brush, but I'll show you in a minute. It really does wonders. It'll do skies, you use the corners, the edges, and you can do fantastic things with this brush. Now the other brush I use in conjunction with it is a thing called a rigger. Very, very fine, very long haired, and I hold it right at the very top like that. So a lot of my paintings I just use those 2 brushes, nothing else. If I've got some sharp edge things like chairs or roofs or boats, anything like that, I use this, which has got a lovely sharp edge to it. And that's all I use. Those 7 colours, those 2 brushes. Now we come to the palettes. Now it's no good having a tiny little pokey palette, because you couldn't use this anyway. And I can't find what I want in art shops, so I go to hardware stores, and that's costed me about £1, plastic TV tray, or whatever they like to call it.
Gives you plenty of room to...
Yes, an enormous amount of room to... You can see what you're doing, you know. So you use that in conjunction with those 3. If I'm outside, of course, I use this little folding water jar, which I hang on my palette, and then after you've finished it, you throw it away like that. But if I'm inside, I use this big, in the studio, I use this big, almost like a goldfish bowl. Again, piles of water, a bit larger than life, you see. But all through those materials, get over this fear and help people to lose their inhibitions, which this is the whole idea of my painting courses and my way of painting, is to broaden everybody's thing, make the things much more fun. Right, now to the paper. A lot of people do this stretching business, which means wetting the whole paper and then putting tape on it and waiting overnight to dry. And of course, when it's like tight as a drum, and to me it's so inhibiting, you know. Terrifying
it's
stuff.
Very fiddly as well.
Yeah, and I think a piece of paper like that, you paid good money for. It's hard enough to sort of start it anyway. But I use this booking foam, which is an £140 stuff. So you can.
It's quite thick.
Yes, it doesn't conquer. You can put piles of water on it, and nothing happens to it at all. And it's a good, sound, no nonsense paper. So that's all I use on the paper side. Now to a few faults in composition. You find often a sequence like this has no verticals in it at all. The whole thing is horizontal, and there's nothing really to focus your eye on it at all. But if you move over to the other one, you find there's a vertical here which helps to make the composition more interesting. Also gives it a foreground interest. Now, another usual subject here, river scene. There's no real object of interest there, main object of interest. It often helps if you can get either a windmill or a little yacht or something that just to give your eye something to focus on to start off with, you see. Now this is one of the real faux pas in composition. Having 2 main objects of interest, here and here, of both of equal size and vying for attention. Your eye tends to bob backwards and forwards between the 2. This could be 2 ships, two trees, or anything like that. Now, if you go over to here, you'll find that I've made one tree a little bit bigger and the other one smaller. So there's no contention now. This is the main object, and that's the small one. And your eye knows exactly where you are with it, you see. Another thing you should never do is to, visually, is to chop your picture absolutely in half with your horizon there. You say you've got equal amounts top and bottom. It chops the whole picture in half. Now, by raising or lowering the horizon, depending on whether it wants to be a sky picture or more of a foreground, but you find that either one or the other, lower it down to there or raise it up. Lastly, another thing which you should never do is to put your main object of interest, say a church, absolutely dead in the centre of a picture. You should always either move it to one side or the other, like this, you see. In that case it's on the left, it could be the other way around, but it's much better to do that. You'll see in a typical scene of a barn here, for example, the tones are all wrong here. You've got the same tone here and there and here. It's all rather monotonous and not very good. And also the sky, of course, is too light and the foreground is too dull. You know, in other words, this is what the typical scene you will see at the beginning. Now, I've just done a sketch here in where I've sorted out some of the values a bit better. You've got the roof is counterchanged against the trees behind it, and that is a different tone to that part. And all the way we've tried to sort out the tone values. To make it more interesting, I put a bit of light coming in through here with a dark shadow, and I've darkened the sky, and again, to make the foreground more interesting, I put a couple of sheep in there. Now, this is the result. This, as you can see, much better now, the tone value. Each tone is different, you see, so that you've got it much simpler to follow. This light through here, I've counterchanged a sheep there, and another one across here. And there's a lot of faults people do with trees, putting branches on the outside of the trees instead of putting them in the holes where the birds fly through. All these sort of things you've got to get over, but it's really tackling the trees as broad masses rather than try to put every leaf and twig in. It is a terrible temptation to do. Get the essence of the tree, whether it's a Spanish oak or a fir tree. You know, you've got to try and get this the simplicity and the character of each tree. Well, take that tree over there, for example. We can get the main foliage in quite quickly. We've got to get the silhouette of it, really. You can see the shape of it, so we're going there.
Nice thick paint.
Nice thick paint, because you've got a lot of that. So you get the feeling of it, the general silhouette, the framework, just like this. With a bit of dark underneath where the shadows are. And we can use the other part here to get branches.
The paint's not really runny. It's
no, that's it.
Thick enough to.
It's thick enough to stay where it's put. You know, you're getting the feel of that. This is all with the first brush. Now you can put the lighter bits in with the more delicate one.
We've got the main sort of skeleton in.
That's right. Now we get this little brush here, and we put in the little fiddly bits. It's a combination of these two brushes is magic, because you can get all the fine. All these odd broken branches and things like that.
Just build it up.
Yeah. And you've got the characteristics of it, you see? Right, now take that tree over there, which is a completely different thing. That's obviously a bare branches, but you can build the thing up just the same way, but you work mainly as there's no actual foliage on it, but you can get the bare bone. Now you've got to have the structure
Yes.
first. It's no good putting a long trunk and then 20-foot high twigs, which is what a lot of people do. They just say, oh well, there's the trunk in, now we'll put the twigs in, and you've got to have this
So that it actually
shape.
stands up. On
Absolutely, otherwise it'd blow over in the first wind that came along. You see, there's your main structure. Now you're going into the smaller branches, and keeping the shape of it all the time. And you can finish it off by using the big brush, very, very dry, to get the frothy
Just
little.
Yes.
Yes, and that's so almost absolutely dry, but
Using
just,
it very delicately. I
yes,
suppose.
very hardly touching the paper, you see,
Yes.
and you get this sort of feeling of the fine twigs, which you couldn't go on with the rigger. You can go so far with a rigger, but basically you've got. There we are. You've got a winter tree.
Yes,
You see,
lovely.
and really in seconds you don't have to take a lot of trouble.